Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment down below, man. Let me know where y'all from, who you guys are a fan of, man. If you're rocking with Lil Boosie, Duke the Jeweler, anything like that. So let me know. Let's get right into it, man. So, a lot of people are still trying to figure out exactly what had happened to Duke. Duke the Jeweler, man. He was an OG coming out of Chicago, bro. And everybody still feel like it's just something wrong. Something just don't feel right about the whole way that everything turned out after that concert. Because that concert, if you didn't know, it was not only Boosie, but it was Plies there. It was a whole scene from Houston rappers to influencers, celebrities, and a lot of famous people was out there. Like you even had a lot of people who are like in history of Houston, like Jay Prince's son, Jay Prince Jr., and all of these people who in somehow, some way, ended up crossing paths at the concert, either that or they were at the Dice game. And from the looks of that Dice game, that concert, it's just something that's just not sitting right with a lot of people. People already thinking that it was kind of spooky and just kind of iffy to begin with. And then the fact that we start seeing the videos of the people creeping around in the background. We start seeing how they didn't let Duke park in the actual real parking spots. Like if you seen what happened, man, the man had to park like down the street around the corner or some ways, man. It was like singled out, bro. At that point, it's 2022 going on 2023. You know what happens out here, man. People are going to be looking in them cars. People are going to be all up and down that parking garage, man. And rumor has it, man, in Houston, the streets was talking and they saying that parking garage was hot to begin with, man. Like a lot of people be doing all sorts of things in them areas, man, around them. When you got big parking lots like that and you got cover and people could pull up in there and hide from things and get out the jams or maybe even find a place to go and do something real quick. Like it's crazy because you really got to be paying attention to your area, to your surroundings, especially if you walking around with large sums of cash on you or maybe even jewelry the jewelry, it could be real, it could be fake, but to the everyday guy or everyday person or the lick hitter, to the everyday lick hitter, that chain is just as real as anything that they've seen, right? So they don't ask the questions. They don't ask, is that chain real? No, they actually take the chain and ask questions later. Y'all ever heard of that phrase where people do something first and ask questions later? Well, that's the same exact situation with this thing with Duke, because a lot of people, they just went to the actions and then asked questions later, and especially when it comes to that Louis Vuitton bag that was missing. You guys got to understand that Louis Vuitton bag had $1 million in it and on its own, dang near allegedly, due to the fact that you got to count, there was hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Dice game. People knew that Duke the Jeweler was actually a hardcore dice shooter. Like he actually wins lots of money when he goes and he plays in these dice games with people. Like he's actually the one who's cleaning out the house, and the house always wants their cut. So that's one thing. But the second thing is the fact that the diamonds, the chains, the pinky ring, all these jewels that he had brought from all the way to Chicago down to Houston. Come on, guys. I know a lot of people be driving. Chicago to Houston is a long drive, guys. Almost 20 hours. So you got to know that he must have thought that he was going to for sure make a sale. You wouldn't be leaving your house with $1 million if you didn't know that you was going in $1 million in jewelry. If you weren't going to sell that or make a deal or something, then you wouldn't have jumped out the crib and went 20 hours on the road without it. So apparently and allegedly, someone had to have convinced Duke the Jeweler to pop out the crib with $1 million in jewelry. Because he said out of according to Boosie in that Glad interview, he said that he wanted to make Boosie a piece, that he wanted to show him pieces and let Boosie choose out of some select styles and trends that's happening in the jewelry game right now. And shout out to any jewelers out there, anybody who always trying to get a chain and get their bling on, man, because it's really It's a whole different area of expertise. Like a lot of people don't even be knowing about the jewelry and how much money is involved and all of that, and the little finesses that happen, and the people who swear they get BBSs, but it's CZs. And so it's a lot of money to be made and a lot of money to be lost in the jewelry game. And what happens at the end of the day is that you really got to be on your P's and Q's, because people take jewelry all the time. Y'all seen what happened with Kim K when they done took her jewelry, and it was like almost $1 million in jewelry back then. And they done melted it down. They done sold the stones, took the rocks out of everything, made it piece by piece, literally like a chop shop. They done parted it all out and sold it individually. And literally them diamonds, them watches, them Cartier frames, the Cartier watches and the Hublots and the APs, they in thousands of pieces scattered all over the world right now. Like they done took that to a warehouse where they take apart jewelry. So who's to say that that Louis Vuitton bag that everybody kind of quickly forgot, because Duke, that's the only luggage he carried with him. Like up to $1 million worth of jewelry and money and cash prizes or whatever inside that Louis Vuitton bag. And then nobody asked questions about that Louis Vuitton bag when it comes up missing. Because when they found Duke the jeweler and they was trying to help him and get that last minute first responders to him, that bag was already gone, man. The people ran off with that bag, and the people who seen everything, they didn't say anything, because you already know how, especially in Houston, people, when they involved in anything with rappers, the hood or street life or anything like that, really a lot of people's morals and their character is to not tell anything, man. They could have sat there and had a front row view, but they will not say anything because it's so much risk behind. You don't know what the repercussions is. And maybe just because you seen what happened and you think that there wasn't a lot of people, somebody else seen that you saw. So if you go and tell, then they know that you was there and that you was the person, the only other person that could have been there to tell. And so that's why a lot of people were scared. They were spooked out to speak out on what actually happened. And so it left a lot of people up in the air, like with just left hanging, because they didn't know what happened with the situation and how Duke ended up getting invited and coming from Chicago to Houston with $1 million in jewelry, and gets invited to a dice game where he wins hundreds of thousands. And just as like everything was good a week ago, the next thing you know, the next day they go to a Boosie concert with Plies and this and that. And they try to throw that parking situation in a way to curve him off, but he still stuck through because he was just trying to have a good time and support and everything, because he's a top G in the jewelry game. And these rappers spending their money all on jewelers, so they got to make sure that they stay around rappers and that they stay supporting and just checking in and everything like that. But it's not a perfect world out here. Y'all got to be careful, because you can't trust anyone, because right when Duke thought he could trust and this and that, that's when they turned around and snaked him, man. And it just came back to bite him in the back. And so that's a lesson learned from this, man. A lot of people, you could take something from this and know to just move more like in a style where, you know, you ain't going to get caught slipping like that, or try to make it to where it's not going to be the same situation as Duke. So just take that as an example, man. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot of breaking news coming out, and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and I'm going to catch you on the next one.